So yeah, as Andrew said, this is a new thing for us, the Enquiry Management System. First of all, before going into it, a couple of words about why we did it. Everybody gets inquiries. It's part and parcel of providing a service, and there are a number of different ways of managing the queries that come through. And on the one hand, you've got something very simple, like a lot of people have an email address, a support email address, and they put that on their website or one of their systems. And the good thing about that is it's really, really easy for the users. No barriers at all to submitting a query. But the downside of it sometimes with a system like that is managing the queries once they come in and keeping track of them and ensuring that a response is sent back. At the other end of the spectrum, you've got these large ticketing systems, and the downside to those is that the user, in many cases, has to sign up a new account. It's another username and password to remember. It's a separate place to go, and they can be very. They can consume a lot of your time managing the queries. They can be comprehensive in managing the queries, but it can take a lot of time. And what we're trying to do with this is get the best of both worlds, because there's this gap in between the two, and that's what we're trying to address. So what we have here, first of all, this would be the equivalent of a public user logging into the system. So we've got login with Google here. This could equally be login with Facebook, with Twitter, with Instagram, any of those social services. And we also support single sign-on systems as well. So there's no account to sign up. People can just use their existing username and password. So if I log in here with a Google username and password, and what I'll get immediately, what I'm presented with is the ability to submit a new query, because 9 times out of 10, that's the first thing that someone wants to do. The exception to that would be if someone has added a reply to an existing query, and an email alert will go to the person in question, and there's a link in there that will take them directly into one of these queries, so they don't have to try and find the query, and it makes it really simple just to get to the reply. So first of all, you can see I'm logged in here. You can see my previous queries here. Obviously, these could mount up over time. So we've got a filter at the top there. We can just search for something and it will filter that list down. So it makes it really easy to find previous queries that you've submitted to the library, and clicking on any of those will take you into the query in question. If I go back and I submit a new query, if I say it's an article request, so yeah, I can just type it in. This should really seem very familiar to anyone. It's what we've tried to do here is make it as intuitive and as simple as possible. No barriers at all to anyone submitting a query, and this should be a very familiar interface. So straight away we're getting around having to train the users how to use a new system. So I can just fire that off there. It's added to my list of queries there, and it says, thank you for your message. One of our staff will reply as soon as possible. So that's now gone off into the system, and in the background, an email alert will be sent to the library. So if I now come across here and log in as a member of library staff, what you see is a very similar interface. So we can see here, we've got an unread query and we've got historical queries as well. So this is the query that's just come in. What we're trying to do here is not have one of these huge ticketing systems where it takes a lot of time to manage all of the queries that come in. It should be a very, very simple process, and the bulk of your time should be directed towards answering the queries rather than managing the system. So we've spent quite a lot of time thinking about how we can make it a very simple process, a very quick process, but not lose any of the functionality around managing queries. And we've done that with various filters on the system. So as you can see over here, we've got a list of folders, and these should seem very familiar. They're more or less the equivalent of email folders that you would get. So if I click on the unread filter, you'll see there, this is the article request that's just been posted. So if I click on that, it will mark it as read. It moves it out of the unread and into all queries. I can type my reply. And as well as typing a reply, I can also add attachments. So we have here, sorry, Mike, because I'm sharing my screen, my browser's blocking that for security, but you can attach articles, you can attach images, you can attach files, and they will be sent back to the user. So if I send that off there and we go back, you can see that reply has popped up a few seconds ago. And in the same way as the library gets an email notification with the link in, the patron that submitted the request will get the same email. They'll be able to click on the link and it'll take them straight into that, and they'll be able to read the article. So very, very simple process around how to submit and respond to queries. As far as the management of them is concerned, we've got them all split up here. So we've already seen unread. All queries is everything that's been submitted into the system. So you will find everything in there apart from unread queries. So you can see unread as a sort of, these are the ones to action. We've also got escalated queries. And if we move over this little button here, you can see we can escalate a query, we can mark it as complete, or we can put it into the bin or remove the flag altogether. Clicking any of these moves it around in the folder. So marking it as complete, we'll put it in complete. Marking as bin, we'll put it into the bin. And an important thing, a decision we made was not to ever delete queries that have been submitted from the system. So there's always an archive. So anything that goes into the bin stays there as an archive, so you can always refer back to it. In addition to that, what we have, if I go back to all of our queries, is we've got a search filter, very similar to the public one. So if I want to see everything to do with the BMJ, you can see that it filters that out very quickly, and we can get to that. But we can also combine these filters as well. So as you build up these filters, it starts to become quite a powerful search tool. So if we want to see everything that was escalated, that was, for instance, for Lancet, we can do that as well. So they're the sort of built-in ways and the standard ways of doing it. We've also got labels, and these are completely customizable. And the article requests, general queries that you see there, things that I've set up myself. So for instance, if you did want to break things down by the type of query, you could do that and go into article requests. I'll just go back into all queries, or we could have general queries. Another thing you could do is if you have a number of staff working on the desk, you could set up queries by name. So when George starts his shift, he can click on that and he can see anything that's been assigned to him, and similarly for Mildred. And again, these can be combined with the other two filters. So if we did want to see all escalated queries that were assigned to George that were to do with the Lancet, we can quite easily do that and filter those out. So it's a very simple process, but it's a very effective way of getting to the queries that you need, seeing the status of them and categorizing them in different ways, whatever suits your workflow. So if I just remove those, and we go back to our standard view and go into all queries, what we might get, for instance, is George might be leaving. He might be going on to pastures new, and he's been replaced by someone called Steve. So what we could do in that instance is we could add a new label for Steve, and we'll mark him as yellow. Any of these others are editable as well, but once you do that, we've got Steve there. So if I want to assign all the things that are currently assigned to George to Steve, I can do that, filter them down. And once you've applied filters, you then get this bulk option as well. So in theory, George could have hundreds of queries applied to him. So we can select all of those at once. We can go to the tag, we can unassign George from that, and we can quite easily apply all of those to Steve. So in just a few clicks, what we've done is moved all of that workflow around, and we can now go in there and remove George, and everything is now assigned to Steve. So that's a very, very quick run through of what we've got there. This is, as I say, it's a new thing for us. It's software that's still in development. And we've got a number of customers who are doing beta tests of this. And we've got those from various different places. What we don't have at the minute is anyone from health as a beta partner. So if anyone was interested in testing this software, giving us feedback on the software and possibly influencing the future development of it, that would be really useful for us. So if you could just drop us a line to let us know that you're interested, we can have a chat about it and set something up and set up a trial of that. So yeah, I mean, really, it's designed to fill that gap between a very sort of homespun, homegrown workflow and these big monolith ticketing systems that are sometimes way over the top for what's needed. And hopefully we've hit the nail on the head and we can improve this and just make it really easy for people to submit things and really easy to answer them and manage them. Anybody got any questions? Or anything you want to go back over?
Fantastic, Mark. That's really great. We have 10 minutes of the conference left, so we wanted to open the last 10 minutes up to anyone to ask questions about what Mark's just been presenting. We chose to show you this piece of software because we thought it's relevant to health libraries who we know handle a lot of inquiries, but also as Mark has said, if anyone was interested in being a beta partner, then that's something else you could talk to us about. But please feel free to either raise your hand, switch your microphone on, ask a question of any of the speakers from today. Or just to pop a question into the chat channel, either in Zoom or on the YouTube. Emma's asking about a stats report on the Enquiry Management System.
We have deliberately taken the decision to keep this as lightweight as possible. And what we could do is we could keep on adding and adding and adding, but we're very conscious of the fact that that then takes it towards one of these huge monolith ticketing systems. What we can do is we can open up the database in this, and we have another reporting tool called Metabase, and this is compatible with Metabase. And instead of having a sort of pre-built set of reports that might not give you what you want or is there or thereabouts and you have to manipulate it all in Excel, with Metabase what you can do is you can create your own reports and tailor those reports, put all of this stuff on your dashboard so you've got all that information at your fingertips, along with all the other management information that you have for the library system. So that was our thinking around that, try and build it in with everything else and try and make it as flexible as possible.